Hey, everybody, this is Ramon Ray, founder of SmartHustle.com. Thanks for joining me for another exciting podcast, discussion, article, video, however the format you're reading this. Maybe you're looking at it or listening to it, chopped up on a small Instagram story as well. However you're consuming it, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. If you hear the sound of my voice or reading this article, give us a like, give us a 5-star review, give us a comment, share it, engage, do something. So once again, thank you. I'm Ramon Ray with SmartHustle.com, and I'm here with Colin McIntosh, who's with Sheets and Giggles in Denver. Colin, thanks for joining us today, and I hope you and those who you love and are with are doing well today.
Thank you, Ramon, and I hope the same for you.
Yeah, we are. You know what? Once in a while, you get in somebody's way, you got to back up a bit, but overall, the Ray household is doing pretty good.
That's good. Yeah, I'm glad everybody's happy and healthy, and I hope you had a happy New Year and are ready to turn the calendar to 2021.
Absolutely. So Sheets and Giggles, why don't we start off at the top there, Colin? Is that, what is it? I know it's a bedding company of sorts, so see how you describe it. And feel free to take a few minutes to touch on your background and who you are and maybe where you were a few weeks or months before Sheets and Giggles.
Yeah, sure. So Sheets and Giggles is that's my company, and so we make sustainable bedding and other home textiles out of eucalyptus trees, and so it's a product called lyocell, eucalyptus lyocell. And eucalyptus sheets for short, kind of like bamboo viscose. People call it bamboo sheets for short. And we actually use up to 96% less water than cotton sheets to make them. We use less energy, no insecticides, no pesticides, whereas cotton can use up to 24% of the world's insecticides on any given year. Our sheets are also much more soft than cotton, so they're naturally softer, and they're also more breathable, which is, if you're a hot sleeper, it's actually a godsend because they actually distribute moisture perfectly across the filaments, across the sheet. So it's a perfectly cylindrical filament. I'm getting into the weeds a little bit, but
no, I love it. I'm writing some notes, man. I love it.
But they're cooler, they're naturally softer, and they're much more sustainable, and they're really, really wonderful product. And so we've got sheets. We do blankets as well. This is actually our new blanket, which is really, really stellar.
I love the look too. It looks good.
Thanks. Yeah, it's really nice. And but yeah, we do comforters, duvet covers. We've got over 200 products now, and we launched 3 years ago in October 2017. And we are now entering year 3 of sales. We didn't ship a box until October 2018. Took about a year to get up and running, and then we've scaled pretty quickly. And I think we now have over 50,000 customers. Wow, and thank you. And it's been really fun. We were actually just featured on Good Morning America in November of last year. Nice. So,
and please tell me you were in a bed in a sheet. Did you let you stage it up that way, or
they did not? Because I actually asked, and Good Morning America is a Disney company, so they're ABC, and so they said that nobody's allowed to be in a bathrobe in like a bed or bedroom because it's assumed that the person is naked under there, and so they can't have that on Disney Channel. So I thought that was really funny. And but no, they interviewed me for their small business Black Friday segment, and it was really cool because Sheets and Giggles, on Good Morning America on Black Friday I was with my family for Thanksgiving. It was just such a dream come true to watch that. So it was really cool.
And why did you do it? I'm curious, Colin, why did you, what's the short background? If there's a longer one, that's fine. But were you just interested in sheets? Did you just want to make a quick buck and you were like, you know what? Why not do this? Or what was the backstory? You could have started anything else, I'm assuming. You seem like a smart guy in Denver. Why this?
Well, so it's actually interesting. The short version of it is that there was a company that I had worked at that was in wearable technology. We were very heavy in physical retail. And unfortunately, I was head of biz dev, and unfortunately, we all got laid off at 1 p.m. on a Monday in September 2017. And that was very emotional for me. And so I decided to start my own business where I could be my own CEO, live or die by my own decisions. And that was, it was just a galvanizing moment. And so that's the short version of the why company, and then why this company particularly. Is a little bit longer, but the short version of the long version is that
I like that. The short version of the long version. I like it.
I built a very compelling business model out of everything that I learned from my last company, and I felt compelled that this brand, this space, this differentiation, this product would do really well. That I could make a living out of this. I could be my own boss. And that I could, build a company that I could be proud of. And So it was really a business model first, and then I built the product around the business model. And I can get into that a little bit more detail if you're curious.
Oh, I would love to. And I'm curious, going back to business models, your model, but also what we can learn. I mean, there's things like subscriptions. There's things, I don't even know the types, there's things they say it's heavy advertising or it's about one-time sales. Can you teach us a little bit as best you can? What should small businesses that are in e-commerce, what should they be learning from you? Or even maybe what not to do or what you're doing well? Help me understand.
Well, yeah. It's a great question. So if I could go back in time and do anything differently, it would be to have. If I could add anything to my business model,
Mhm.
it would have been a subscription service,
Okay.
something along those lines. Whether it's a physical product or a software product, there would have been some type of recurring subscription. So that's the one thing that I think I've learned through this that is still missing from this business model, and I don't know if we'll ever figure out the subscription piece. So but that being said, my perfect business model at the time that I started this company was a physical product that had very low differentiation in the space, so it's kind of a commoditized product. I wanted something that was largely traditionally physical retail, so I could bring it online with a direct to consumer model. And then I wanted something that was in a massive space, so I didn't have to build my own market. And then I also wanted something that had no brand loyalty or switching costs. People could, jump around from company to company without that big of a deal. And I looked around at the different industries that I had domains that I had purchased, and I owned sheetsgiggles.com. And I thought, I pre-owned it. I bought it because I thought it was a great name for a company, and I thought this bedding fit my criteria and it fit it perfectly. And so I really wanted a sustainable product. I'm very passionate about sustainability. Climate change is one of my hot buttons. And so I, was looking into the industry. I looked at different materials. I looked at hemp, linen, bamboo viscose, and eucalyptus lyocell was the most sustainable. It was the best product. It was a very luxurious product. And so I fell in love with it, the sheets, the first night I slept on them. And I found a manufacturing partner that could make my designs come to reality. And I ended up doing a crowdfunding campaign
Wow.
in May of 2018. We raised $284,000 and we were off for the races. So
Congratulations. Wow, that's a
thank
success
you.
right there. And I'm
Yeah,
curious, it
it was
seems like
great.
also, Colin, you went to the opposite direction of what we hear on the proverbial Shark Tank or other places, meaning not much brand loyalty, massive space, direct to consumer, low differentiation. And I could be wrong. So you educate me as well. Don't oftentimes we hear high barrier to entry. What's your very unique value? All some of the opposite things. And again, there's 1,000 different business models, but help us understand
Yeah.
why that and what's your advice for others? Is that something everybody should be picking, or for you and
Well,
you wanted it works? How does that work?
once you're an established company, then you go in front of investors and you say, "Oh, we have all these barriers to entry.
Got it.
We have,
Okay.
we have, yeah." But when you're starting up your own business model, yeah, you want to go into a space that I mean, it's one of two things. Either you have a very specific skill,
Right.
product, or tech that you can create a new space or disrupt a space and have that barrier to entry for your product. Or if you're trying to build a new company, you look at spaces that do have that low barrier to entry,
Got
that
it.
do have that. And with me, I knew I wanted to do a very differentiated brand, something that nobody had ever seen visually speaking before. So I was very enticed by the idea of having this sort of blank canvas to be creative with. And with S&G, it just stuck out to me that every other brand in this bedding space was boring me to tears. They are the white sheets, the white walls. There's always like a French press coffee placed on the edge of the bed.
Oh,
Like it's
good.
always like it's always some like mid-20s like white girl with like a exposed brick like New York City
Sure.
apartment. And it's just very like it's so banal that it was almost like objectionable to me. And so I had a lot of fun building like a totally different brand in this space. And so I knew that if I could enter into a commoditized space, and there are people that have done that, right? Dollar Shave Club was a
Yeah.
big inspiration for me. There are a few other companies that used a lot of humor to disrupt a space and say, why are you buying these? Why aren't you buying these? Why are you doing it this way? Why don't you do it this way? And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to ask people, why are you buying cotton sheets?
Got
Why
it.
are you buying polyester sheets? Do you understand why you're buying cotton sheets? Do you understand why you're buying polyester sheets? Do you get what they're even made of? Do you understand the process? And then take them on this sort of like fun educational journey
Right.
that's not doesn't take itself too seriously, because like we always say, we're selling sheets, we're not curing cancer. We're having fun with it.
It
So
sounds to me
yeah,
like the lesson I'm hearing, Colin, is a company, and forget, those listening or yourself, if you agree with their mission or not, let's put that to the side, but Black Rifle Coffee. It sounds to me as similar
I
to
know
the
them.
idea
Yeah,
of, okay,
yeah,
good. It's coffee, which we
yep,
all know. There's no education what coffee is. But they're
exactly.
saying, if you agree with this thing, military veterans, etc., and our coffee happens to be pretty darn good, come on over. So it seems
Right.
that is that kind of that thing where you're saying you don't have to
Basically, yeah,
re-educate you about sheets.
I don't, I exactly. And we always said we will never take a picture of our sheets folded up against the white wall. People know what bed sheets look like. They know what
Got
a
it.
fitted sheet looks like. They know what a flat sheet looks like. They know what pillowcases look like. And every time my team tries to put that photography on the website, I'm like, please, for the love of God, take that off. Like we know what it looks like. And so, we do have cool ways to show our colors
Sure.
off and everything like that. But you're exactly right. Where it's like, look, you need bed sheets. We're not saying that you should be wasteful and buy new ones if you don't need new ones, but at some point in the next few years, you will need new bed sheets. And when you do, if you are a fan of really soft things and you don't want to overheat at night, you want to get better REM cycles, and you're a big sustainability nut, these are the sheets you should buy. Sheets and Giggles, and that's kind of the value prop. And we also have a lot of fun with the brand. Like, we always say, if you like puns, sleeping, and sustainability, you'll love Sheets and Giggles. And that's, it's a fun tightrope to walk, because it's like this very like upscale, luxurious product that's very sustainable, that has this brand that is advertising mostly with like jokes and memes. And it's a very weird brand, and I like that, because I always used to call it the Seinfeld of brands, like a brand about nothing. And I love that, because it lets us just do whatever we want whenever we want with the brand voice, which is great.
I love it. And it seems like as well that I guess what's really focused, either you or your team, is who the customer is. I mean, that's what I'm
Oh
picking
yeah,
up, is that the product is good, and that's for sure. You've talked about it, but that you're laser focused on our type of customer. If they're like this, good people, not for us. But if they're like that, we want to know who they are and reach them all day. Is that a fair assumption?
it is. Yeah, I would say if you're like, in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, and you're a big Seinfeld fan, we're for you. If you're in your 20s or 30s and you grew up on SpongeBob, you're gonna love Sheets and Giggles. Like, if you're a sports fan and you listen to the Dan Le Batard show, like, you will obsess over S&G. Like, that's our brand voice, is like these like people who treat things that are not supposed to be serious as jokes. Like that's what, actually, one of my favorite podcasts is the Dan Le Batard Show podcast, and they treat sports like a circus and not like a cathedral.
Mm,
And I like that, because ESPN and all of Fox Sports and all this stuff, they can get so wrapped up in like sports as this cathedral, and it's like, no, man, it's fun, it's entertainment, it's enjoyable, it's a game. And I think that is like the same thing with us with the sheets, where it's like, why are all these other companies taking this very like lofty, holier than thou, aspirational brand voice, like the bed sheets? You know what I mean?
right.
And so if they're just that, let's have some fun with it. Let's do and we have a lot of fun, and we do a lot of good along the way. We plant a tree for every single order. We what do you call it? The sustainability of the product. Obviously, we save about 1,000 gallons of water for each sheet set that we sell. Untold amounts of pesticides and insecticides. And then, we also donate to a lot of causes. We donated $40,000 to COVID relief in Colorado, and we donated hundreds of sheet sets to Denver area homeless shelters in the beginning of the pandemic, so they could isolate symptomatic individuals in their individual respite motels. And so, it's a lot for me. It's just like, do good, have fun, and if you can do those things, then good people will gravitate towards your brand, and those are the customers that we love.
I love that. One more question for you. I have several, but I mean, I want to make sure I ask. That you have a chance to share anything I didn't ask. But I'm curious. Can you talk about the power of humor and/or dangers? What's your message to people who want to use humor? I happen to be. I think I am a fun guy. That's me. I've been
Yeah,
told
I
only
would, I
once or
would,
twice.
I would agree with that. I love that
Thank
energy,
you.
man. I love it. Yeah,
Only
yeah,
once or
yeah.
twice, a lady came up to me and said something like, "Ramon, you're talking too loud in your speech or something." And I politely said, "Ma'am, I am just starting. You really should sit in the back." So, what do you say to people? Is there a time to be serious in the brand? Is there a
Yeah.
time that it's been a danger for you? Can you
Uh,
talk about if somebody tries to be Colin and it doesn't work for them? What would you say? If you follow what I mean, how does that?
Yeah, yeah, I see it all the time. I see people that are just not. I mean, like, there's a high level answer and a more detailed answer. If I give the detailed answer, the high level answer first is just like, you need to walking a tightrope when it comes to content and copy is a very specific skill. I think it's a natural thing for some people. I have always loved writing. I used to be an SAT tutor. I written creatively, and it's just something that I've always thought that if I'm when you start a company, you should ask yourself the question, what are you best in the world at, and then build a company around that. And for me, I believe I'm the best in the world at putting words on a page that can persuade somebody to take an action. And that was something that I've always believed about myself. I've written politically, I've written, creatively, I've written for businesses, and I just feel like I've got like a very political like bent where I do lobbying and other things like that. And I've got like a political secret Twitter account that I won't share here who it is, but I've got like tens of thousands of followers. They don't know who I am.
Right.
And but like that type of anyway. So like I think that the danger is that like you don't do it well and it either flops or it gets you in the hot water. And then like as a specific example, last year we were doing a campaign for Mother's Day that we do every year that I love, and it's called Cool Sheets for Hot Moms. And it's one of my favorite things, and because they are cooling sheets and moms do overheat. And but like it's cool sheets for hot moms. And so, but last year, that was right when the pandemic was breaking out. We were going to start it in April, and people were for the first time in their lives probably not going to spend Mother's Day with their moms. They were going to be isolated. Some people were losing their mothers. I think at that point in April and May, we were losing 1,000 people a day already. And so I was like, I called my team. I was like, hey, I'm pulling the plug on this campaign. We're not going to do it. And it probably cost us a fair bit of money. And a lot of sunk cost in terms of the photography and everything that we had done leading up to that point for the campaign. But at the same time, I just didn't feel like it was appropriate. And sometimes you have to pull back on that, and that was a hard call. So I think that it's just about touch and feel, and the golden rule always applies, where it's like you treat other people the way that you want to be treated. So last night, for example, I don't know when this podcast will go live, but something very intensely traumatizing happened in our nation's capital, right? And my team wanted to post something about it that was I think initially it was like a serious thing, and then it moved all the way over to this like flippant thing. And I just was like, look, like how if we want a company to chime in here, how do we want Sheets and Giggles as a brand to chime in here? Maybe inject some levity into the situation while not treating it as something flippant, right? And so, we posted just this little thing that ended up really resonating with people around like 8 or 9 p.m. Mountain Time. We just posted like a screenshot of a tweet that we sent. It was like, so we're all just supposed to fall asleep at some point tonight, like and like people thought that was perfect. They were like that's exactly how I feel. It's like I'm lying awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, staring at my phone. I can't stop doom scrolling, and that anyway. So I think that like finding that can take different iterations, and it is a volume play. Like you're going to do stuff that doesn't always hit. The important thing is to put up those brand guidelines of we are funny but not corny, kind but not saccharine, clever but not try hard, smart but not condescending. And then you always kind of funnel your content through those guardrails.
I love that, Colin. And it seems like what I'm hearing you say as well is, you have to be ready to take a hit. What you posted last night, for example, it could have been wrong. You were innocent. You thought about it. But you could have been.
Delete it.
Could have been. And then the second thing that I'm hearing also is that be aware of who you are. Meaning, let's say you're a racy company, funny company. Okay, this is coming up. Let's hold off before we do this. Our brand's all laughter.
Right.
An earthquake just happened. Let's not. So it seems like you have to have someone. If you're not being one of those regular companies that are boring and you're edgy, you have to be aware of what's happening around you, it seems.
You just gotta not step in it. You gotta know your moments and know when it's appropriate and when it's not. And like for example, last year we made the conscious decision to transition the brand and grow the brand and evolve the brand, I think, into still funny first, but more helpful and positive and upbeat versus just jokes and bits and laughter. And so I think that positivity and the feel good, along with the philanthropy and the sustainability, is a really long, enduring brand. And then for our kind of hardcore initial supporters, we still have all the jokes there on the site, and they're around, and we still post them from time to time. But the other thing I was gonna say is, and this is a high level thing, and this is, I completely believe this.
Sure.
To build a successful brand, you cannot appeal to 100% of people. You never will, and you cannot try to. You will fail. If you try to go broad, you'll fail.
Yes.
And instead, you're looking to appeal to 10 to 20% of people who just feel incredibly viscerally attached to this. They see it and they're like, "Oh my, it's like a lightning rod." And then there's going to be 60% of the people in the middle that see Sheets and Giggles and they're like, it's not for me.
Right.
And then there's going to be 20% of people on the other end that are like, "This is the most juvenile thing I've ever seen in my life. And you guys are, I'll never buy sheets from this company." And we're like, "Okay, man, like, it's just bed sheets. Like, don't get bent out of shape. Like, relax." But those 10-20% of people are a big audience, and they will support you and give you word of mouth and come back. And those are the people that you were writing content for. So our jokes, it's like Seinfeld, the jokes aren't for everyone, but like when they hit and when they're for the people, when the people they're for read them and see them, that's when the magic happens.
Well, and that is so true. And I find the same thing. We have two different businesses, but even in speaking, Ramon is not for everybody, meaning probably a little more people than maybe, humor and all that, because speaking, I'm sharing, but it's just not for everybody. I speak too fast. Sometimes I stumble over my words. I don't take much.
But that's okay. I'm the same way, where it's like, as you get older, you also have to, you get over your fear of like not being liked by everyone,
Right.
where it's like, some people just not gonna do it. And that's
Yes.
okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. And so I completely agree with you that building a brand is about visceral attachment. The opposite of love isn't hate, right? It's indifference.
Mhm.
And so that, for me, that's a big thing that I keep in my head is I never want people to be indifferent to what we're doing. I don't want to post a picture of those white sheets on that white wall with that French press coffee and get 4 likes on Instagram because people are like, "Holy shit, like this is like that." I've seen this content in 1,000 other places. Like, we will never write about thread count ever. Like, we'll never ever write an article about thread count. There are 87,000 articles about thread count on the internet that you can find. So it's the same principle.
And so if I can hear what you're saying as well, I bet on your site, people can find out what the thread count is of XYZ, but there's no
Of
need
course.
for you to lead with it, because if that's what they're worried about, they should just, you're focused on what you said, the humor, the coolness, the et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. The thread count, it's 400 thread count. Like, it's got a lower surface friction than cotton, right?
Wow.
So it feels higher, but it's ultra breathable because it's still that like nice, like lower mid-tier thread count. And I'm telling you, man, they're the best sheets ever. But again, if people are like, "Oh, I only sleep on 1,000 thread count sheets," one is, I kind of want to tell them, you're probably sleeping on 2-ply 500 thread count sheets that are actually less breathable because they're using the Z-axis to double the thread count, which is not helping in the softness or smoothness, and you're falling prey to a marketing scheme. But you're probably too dumb to realize that because you only sleep on 1,000 thread count sheets and nothing else touches the bottom. It's like an Aziz Ansari character on Parks and Recreation, where he's like, "Oh, like minimum 1,600 thread count, baby." Like, and I love that character and I love that show, but like, I just find that some people are not going to buy from us ever, and they're looking for an excuse and a reason not to. And that's fine. Like, we don't need to cater to those people.
Colin, I love it. Anything I didn't ask or anything you wanted to share before we go? This has been amazing.
I feel like the golden rule is a big thing for me. Like, treat other people the way you want to be treated. I think that more people can use that in the world right now. Like, we treat people with kindness and fairness and love and respect, and like, and I think that what you put in is what you get out in spades. So I'll just leave people with that, because I think that that's, the way that we approach our business and the way that I approach my life. And, I think that, if anything happens in 2021, I want it to be a resurgence of that type of mentality. So,
I love
yeah.
it. Colin, this has been amazing, man. And I'm glad we met. I can see why you're a rising entrepreneur in the Denver area and beyond. But again, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Colin McIntosh or McIntosh?
McIntosh, yes, yeah, McIntosh. Yeah,
I'm going to say it again.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Colin McIntosh, founder of Sheets and Giggles. I'm Ramon Ray of smarthustle.com. Again, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, please give us a like, give us a review, give us a comment, say something good, hit a share button. But we thank you for your time and listening to this amazing podcast video article at smarthustle.com.